During this discussion, we discussed response allocation and the PMAC principle. And when I was listening to response allocation, it was actually my first time hearing of it. The first thing I thought about was like choice allocation and the matching law. So the matching law is a mathematical formula that shows that the rate of responding will typically be allocated to whichever option has the highest rate of reinforcer or the most reinforcers. So for example, if option A has a 70% chance that 70% of reinforcers is allocated to option A and 30% of reinforcers is allocated to option B, the likelihood is that 70% of behaviors will be allocated to option A because there's a higher chance of reinforcement. So as I was hearing about response allocation and response allocation, I kind of was having a hard time differentiating between choice allocation and response allocation, but I think the video about the PMAC principle helped kind of put that in perspective. The PMAC principle is a principle that, simply put, first this happens and then this happens. So basically trying to get an individual to engage in a less desirable behavior, and then they can have the reinforcer or a more desirable behavior. So typically in practice, this looks like, first pick up the toys, then you can have your candy, or first do your homework, and then we can go outside. I am struggling a little bit to figure out how to incorporate this in practice or as like a clinical supervisor. So I would love to be able to use the PMAC principle in my organization as a leader, but it seems kind of juvenile, right? So like I can't really tell my BCBAs first do this and then you can get this because the way the phrasing may not be as appropriate, but I do think it is a principle that can be helpful in the workplace, especially with my dissertation, trying to train BCBAs on how to deliver disciplinary feedback to registered behavior technicians. I would love to figure out a way to incorporate the PMAC principle to get those optimal results. I do use the PMAC principle in a sense when I'm talking about BCBAs, but usually to lighten their workload in a sense. So for example, if they have to deliver a parent contract to the family, I may say something like, hey, first deliver the contract, and then after that I'll jump in and escalate to discharge if that is the next step that we need to take, right? So kind of giving the BCBAs a lower both very non-preferred, but maybe like a lower intensive or more preferred tasks, and then I jump in with kind of the more demanding task and like being able to complete that or alleviate that from their plate. So I think I'm going to look more into how to utilize the PMAC principle, specifically on how to train BCBAs to deliver disciplinary feedback to RBTs and just really improve their supervisory or management skills in general so that they can better lead RBTs and support them in those different ways.